Hi everybody, I hope y'all are doing well. I'm here in my car and I thought I would do a short video before I go back inside. I just came up from doing an errand and today I'm a little bit sick. I have a sore throat and a cough, so bear with me if I have to drink some water. So this week has been a week filled with some new endeavors, some new things in my life. And the feeling of failure has reemerged. So the feeling of failure was something that was quite common before my realization. If I had any failures, like disappointments at work, something didn't go as I planned, or some kind of project I was working on didn't go right, or let's say a failed marriage, or anything like that would bring this kind of doom and gloom over me of being a failure. So the question is, have any of y'all ever felt like a failure in life, or like you don't know what to do next? You don't know why things aren't going your way, why life is so hard. So that's what this discussion is about this time. So I'd like to kind of share a little bit about my experiences with failure, and just kind of speaking from my experience, and just share what I have just recently realized when it comes to failures. So for one, there is no failures. No one has ever failed at anything. You have never failed at anything. I have never failed. There's no one doing this, so nobody is failing. It's just all happening. But the feeling of feeling like a failure happens, and that's what the person, or if you want to call it an ego or whatever, hangs on to, thinking it's a failure and it needs to do better next time, or maybe it goes into a depressive state of just hanging on to failure and going lower and lower in its depression. So for me personally, failures, like I say, have been either they've been all kinds of things, life related, like when jobs don't work out, where I don't resonate with the job any longer and I leave it and I feel some sort of failure with having to leave that position, or maybe a failed marriage. I've had that happen in the past where I felt like a failure due to that. And there's also been failures along the way with parenting, feeling like, okay, your child does something and it reflects like badly on you, as if you were a bad parent and you feel like a failure. So there's all kinds of things in life that will pop up and make you feel like a failure. A lot of it too can be financial. When finances don't work out right, the person can feel like a failure, that they are not able to take care of themselves, they're not in control, they're not able to do the things that are needed. But the truth is that nobody has failed. Nobody is doing anything to fail. Nobody has failed. We feel like failures, but that is along with the feeling of separation, or the feeling of being an individual, an independent entity, or something separate from others, where you feel unsafe. You don't feel connected to everything. So when something happens to you, in whatever circumstances it happens, you feel like a failure. You feel alone. You feel lonely, and like no one can understand how much of a failure you are. So one of the things that I realized was that when I had this realization, I realized first that no one is a failure, and no one has ever done anything to fail. And all the hard work that I've put into not being a failure, the work I've done at work, all the work I've done with my daughter, with my marriage, with my finances, all of this work that I thought I was controlling and doing, I've never done. So there's this sense of relaxation. Oh, okay, I've never even done that, and it's so silly that I worked so hard at this when it was just all happening. So that realization happened when I first had my no self-realization. After that, life happens. A year has passed and different things have settled and changed. I don't work where I used to work. My finances and situation is different. Things like that. So within all of that, there was a sense of peace. But as things began to change and get more difficult, and there was a sense of lack of, I need to have this or that, when that started to creep in, the feelings of failure reemerged. And that's just something that recently happened. So not so much, partly with finances, partly with job. So one of the things that I realized is that a lot of times we have very high expectations, and our thoughts are what's behind these expectations. So a lot of my thoughts have, subsided, and they're kind of back here. I don't pay attention to them as much, but I've noticed in the last couple days, with a lot of different stress and things that have been happening, some of those voices or thoughts come a little bit more to the front. And those thoughts have to do with me not being okay with something, not being completely authentic and loving oneself. And it's a very strange paradox, because while there is no self, when you have this realization, you have no self. But then on the other hand, you experience extreme amounts of self-love for yourself, and then everything that is also you, which is others and anything in your existence. So it's a weird paradox that there is all this self-love there now. So where before maybe I would have some failures and say to myself, oh, just try harder. You just need to try harder. You're not trying hard enough. You just need to do it. It doesn't matter if you don't feel well. It doesn't matter what this or that. You need to do this to obtain this, because your family expects this of you, because your husband expects this of you, because you need to be able to provide such and such and such for your family, because you need to be able to do vacations like everybody else. You need to do this, you need to do that. So before, that was a lot of the thoughts I had. Now, not so much, but like I say, in the past couple days, I've experienced something different. So before my realization, I had very high expectations and thoughts of what should be. So while I entered, let's say, a new job, I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to do so great at this job. I'm going to make so much money within the first year. I'm going to move up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to love this job because it's something that I've always wanted, or it's such a great opportunity that somebody has given me. So I would start off with all of these thoughts and expectations. And while some would say those are positive thoughts, those are good thoughts, positive thoughts can also cause suffering when in separation like this, because you may think, oh, I've been told that this is going to be the best job for you. It's perfect for you. You're going to do great. You're going to love it. You're going to do so well. You're going to make so much money. But you get in there and you realize it's not what you thought. And no, you're not doing well. You're actually not liking this, and you're not making that much money like they said that you would make, and this and that. So then you're disappointed. So there's this big discrepancy in your expectations, or what people have, told you, to what really is. And then so there's this big gap, and that's where the ego grabs onto that, or the person grabs onto that and feels like a failure, because it says, well, I should be here, but I'm feeling here. And so you feel like a failure because you're not anywhere near what you should be in your mind. So feeling like a failure is because there's a big discrepancy in your mind with those thoughts that you're having of what should be to what actually is. So if we examine what actually is, for example, a new job. If I'm feeling in a new job that I'm stressed, I don't actually like what's happening, maybe I don't like the ethics of the company, maybe I don't agree with the way that they're handling things, or the way that they've brought in new employees, or whatever it is, or the way they handle their money or something like that, then I'm going to have this sort of problem, because I'm going to be down here instead of being very satisfied with what I think should be happening. So in my case, this feeling kind of emerged out of some concerns I had, more based on that things aren't right. So it wasn't so much that I wasn't getting the money I wanted or something like that. It was, there's just some ethical issues, and there's some issues just in general that are just not right. They don't sit right with me, and I don't think that they would be right with others. So I don't think it's fair for this employer to do this to this person or that person. And so that causes me to have this sort of stress and feeling. And while before I would stay in that position and just fight it out and just do it, I'm reflecting in some intuitive ways this time, a more natural, intuitive way, where my heart's telling me something's not right here. Also, I could kind of tell in my body, my heart rate and blood pressure and things had changed. My stress level had changed. My sleep patterns began to change. So your body will give you warning signs when something isn't right. And while the person doesn't want to feel like a failure, they push that aside. Oh no, it's fine. I'll just take a sleeping pill. It's fine. I'll just try harder. I'll just try to take care of myself on the weekend, but I need to do this. I need to do this. And so we put ourselves on the back burner, and we suffer. Our health suffers. Our mental health suffers. Our quality of life suffers. Let's say our enjoyment or happiness level suffers. So when you are truly in a space of something's not right, where you have warning signs, like physical signs of your body tensing up, your body heart rate, things changing, your sleep patterns changing, these amounts of stress. I've even heard people that lose hair. It's time to sit back and examine your heart. What is right for you? If you need a break, if you can't go to work the next day because you're so stressed, you need to take that time off. You need to go and follow your heart. Go with the flow and follow your heart. If you feel fine, that you can go to work, that you can do it, then do it. But if you're feeling something's wrong, it's time to take care of yourself. Take care of your heart. Our authentic self wants us to be happy, peaceful, creative, and be doing the things that we truly love to do. Of course, we're not going to get rich overnight. That's one of the discrepancies, one of the lies that the mind tells you. So that's silliness. But if you are not okay in your heart with something, your company is unethical, there's something wrong there, it's time to step away. And it's not that you're a failure. It's that you need to go with your heart. You need to follow and go with the flow wherever else it's going to lead you. Because if you stay in that spot, all you're going to do is go round and round in circles of this unhappy, stressful pattern. So it takes actually a lot more courage to step away and leave something and try to start your own thing on your own. That takes a lot more courage. It takes a lot more work. It takes a lot more sacrifices. So we also have to get to a point where we are accepting what's happening and being happy with the least amount possible, because sometimes we may have to give up some career that we were just in line for. Maybe we studied to, everybody told us we needed to be a doctor, so we studied to be a doctor. We work so hard, we become a doctor. But not everybody can be a doctor. You may find that you actually don't like that. And it's okay to leave all that behind. You are not a failure by leaving that behind. You have a lot of courage to follow your heart, and if something isn't right, choosing something different. for yourself. And there might be, that's why I'm saying there might be time there where maybe you've lost your income, you don't have that much money, things have gone wrong in other ways. So just like no love story is the same, just like no one can tell you who to love, because that is very personal and unique what ends up happening in that. No one can tell you what you should do in your life as far as your work, as far as your spirituality, whatever. All of that is very much unique. Not everybody's going to be a doctor. Not everybody should be a lawyer. Not everybody should be these things that everybody tells us we should be. Everybody is unique. Everybody has their own talents. Everybody is creative in one way or another. Creative is not just art. Creative can be working on cars. Creative can be working on computers. Creative can be a multitude of things. But we are all born, not that we are really born or die, but we are all here rising in existence with some sort of gift. Something that is just unique to us. And so if we just follow what everybody tells us, there's going to be a big problem of feeling like a failure. So to relieve or to take away this feeling of failure, I've realized it has to be, you have to be authentic to yourself. And you have to have self-love, which is very much a paradox when we say there is no self. But there is no self. There is just oneness. But what I'm arising at this moment is Nydia, and she has certain gifts, certain talents. She's got a way of life that is more suited to her. You know, I'm not going to be somebody that lives in a big bustling city. I enjoy nature. I enjoy living in a smaller home. I enjoy spending more quality time at home. I enjoy various things that may be totally different from somebody else. Like, let's say my friend that lives in New York City and enjoys going to work every day, working in a skyscraper, going fast, meeting lots of people. There's different sorts of people with different sorts of preferences. And so I'm arising as this person. And if I try to follow what my friend says and move to the city and be this way, I'm going to be deeply unhappy. Even though there is no self, I will still be deeply unhappy because I'm not being authentic to the self that is arising and wanting to arise here. Everything is unique. That is what is beautiful about this oneness. It's oneness, but it is so many things in one. So many things. This water bottle that makes these funny sounds when I drink. You know, all of these things are part of oneness, and they're all doing things differently. So if this water bottle wanted to, instead of being a water bottle, it wanted to be a soda, and it was so upset that it couldn't do the fizzy carbonated, you know, and it was just unhappy because it was never a soda, could never be fizzy. That would just be a big mistake, because water is very special and needed, and this is exactly what it should be. It doesn't need to be anything else. Just like you are exactly fine how you are. You don't need to be anything else other than you. And there might be some work and some struggles being yourself. So if I choose to be myself, I may not make a ton of money in my career because the things that I enjoy doing do not lead to that. So some things will have to shift and change, and overall you'll start to experience the peace of being your authentic self instead of that discrepancy of what you think should be and what you really are. So I will tell you, if nobody has told you, life is not easy. Every day there are struggles. Every day there's suffering. I've had questions talking about pain and suffering and decisions and things like that. All of those things are still experienced here. I have back pain. I have, injuries that I've had over my back. I have chronic pain I deal with. I have other issues that I deal with. And it is just what is happening. I have issues with, finding and the right kind of job I want. You know, at this time I'm trying to balance all that out and find where I'm supposed to be. And so even though I can say I'm realized because I felt this change, a lot of things have become clear to me, which makes my path a little smoother. At the same time, it's not that I don't experience these things. I will have back pain. I will take a job and then find out, oh, this is not for me. Or I will do something and then experience stress and realize, oh, this is not for me. And it's not being a coward to back away from things that just aren't for you. It's being authentic to yourself. If you keep trying to do those things that are not you, you will develop health issues. You will develop mental health issues. You will have a lot of issues from trying to be something you're not. And one of those would be that you'd be deeply unhappy. So please follow your heart. Even if there is no self there, have self-love for yourself. Take care of yourself, nurture yourself, because you are the unique expression that is wanting to arise at this current moment from this oneness. And oneness does not mean sameness. Oneness includes all these unique, infinite. Oneness is infinite. Oneness is infinity. It is everything and anything that can arise, it will arise. So let it arise. Let it arise. Let it be what it's supposed to be instead of that resistance. Because when we have that resistance, that's where the person or that feeling that you're a self suffers. Otherwise, everything is just happening and you suffer and then it just kind of passes. Or you suffer and you realize that's not your path and you find the right path to get on, or you keep finding the other path. So we are all unique. We are all on different paths, all different paths to get to the top of that mountain. So follow the path that's in your heart, and that will help so much in this feeling of being a failure, because you are not a failure. You have never been a failure. You will never be a failure. That is just all part of the feeling of separation. So I hope you like this video. If you have any questions, you can comment down below or email me. I have some information there about myself in the description box. Thank you for watching.